morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Sports. This is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. I'm here with this is Coach Wednesdays. Wednesdays with Coach. It's becoming a trend. My man Coach Dante coming in on the ones and twos. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, man. Happy to be on here. Happy to have this segment, bro, with y'all. Something special to me always when I have my own segment most of the time. So thank you so much. And my guy Mo, love to mess with him, man. Love to mess with him, especially about them suck Lakers. But hey, we good. And Mo know it too. But yeah, man, I'm just happy, bro.
Is Lakers Rockets going to be the new rivalry this year? I can't wait for the first game. I want to have you see if Brett and Mo will have you on M1. Y'all do a watch.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Don't know love, hate. I just like messing with Mo since they passed up on account with Mo, but we traded them anyway, so it didn't matter.
Good morning, Mr. No Better. It's Mo Better. Dayball better be renting. I love the names. Oh, I'm not kidding. Every week we got a different intro name. I'm loving it. He definitely better be renting. They already talking about the owner calling Brian Daboll and saying, hey, we want you to start Jackson Dart like week 2. And Daboll had to talk him off the ledge. So how you feeling this morning, Mo?
I'm feeling great, man. Welcome, Coach. Welcome, chat. Just ready to get into it.
We're going to get into it. We're going to start with that, right? So one of the things I wanted to start with this morning, and I didn't realize, give it any credence until I read more into it. Apparently, John Mara had a conversation with Brian Daboll to start the new week. So that most people know that players are off on Tuesdays in the NFL, and coaches aren't. That's preparation day, walkthrough meetings, depending on what the situation is. But the owner of the Giants, John Mara, called Brian Daboll into his office and tried to convince him to start Jackson Dart just after one game. They just paid Russell Wilson. So, Mo, I would love you to elaborate on what you think is going on in New York. And do you agree with John Mara that they should be starting Jackson Dart already?
No, because John Mara don't know anything about football. He don't know anything. He's the owner, but he don't know nothing about football. They have a horrible offensive line, and if Russell Wilson's going to take a beating, I know Jackson Dart's going to take a beating because Jackson Dart's default is if nobody's open instantly, he's running anyway, and he doesn't know how to slide. He takes a lot of big shots. Look, you don't rush the future if you really believe this guy is a future. And you didn't sign Jameis Winston just to sign him. If Russell Wilson continues to play badly, Jameis comes next and he gets his shot. The last resort is to go to the rookie. So I'm glad that Brian Daboll stood up to the owner and said, I'm the coach. And if I go down, I go down. But I know what I'm talking about. I know football. More importantly, all these people that are saying Jackson Dart is ready, y'all take a lot of stock in preseason. Y'all take a whole lot of stock in preseason. I would say fall back. He is not ready. Especially he's not ready behind that offensive line.
You know, the funny thing that you just mentioned is taking stock in preseason. I will never forget. I'm an Eagles fan, so I'll never forget when the Philadelphia Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl behind Sam Bradford off of an amazing preseason game versus Green Bay. And then he was Sam Bradford. We watched Sam Bradford play in the NFL for 5 years. We knew who Sam Bradford was. Just because Chip Kelly traded for him, it wasn't not going to be Sam Bradford. So taking stock in preseason, it's good to watch some of the young guys battle and see some things. And there's definitely reasons that preseason is there to get players ready. But, Coach, how much stock do you take in preseason?
Not too much. I mean, like sometimes you could take some stock, but not too much. But you know when your rookie quarterback is ready to play. It's rarely you'll have a rookie quarterback come in day one ready to play. But it's clear that Jackson Dart, and the way he was drafted, he's not ready, especially like Mo said, behind a bad offensive line. I mean, again, you got Andrew Thomas, who's a great offensive lineman, but he's never on the field. He's never on the football field. You got a piss poor running game, which is your blocking game wasn't really good. Saquon Barkley is just that great of a runner. He's just that great of a running back. So the offensive line wasn't really that good in the run game or passing game. The wide receiver, I mean, you got what Malik Davis want to cry and moan, but catch the football, catch the down football. And then you got Wan'Dale Robinson who can't stay on the football. You got Wan'Dale Robinson who can't stay on the football field. And the Washington Commanders did not play that good. They dropped a lot of passes. Their offense was not good. And Commanders should have beat them by more. They should have had at least 35 points on them guys. But the offensive line continues to get pushed around. Evan Neal continues to be a not so good player. Defensive line, there was no pressure on Jaden Daniels. He did whatever he wanted to do in that game. You have rookie offensive linemen blocking you. You still couldn't get to the quarterback. But other than that, the Giants is overall mess. And then another thing, it's something wrong with your organization when you have players that leave your organization and go somewhere else and get better. This blame been all on Daniel Jones for I don't know how many years, and he goes to the Colts with a better organization, with a better coach, and he's all of a sudden. I believe just it was the Dolphins just that bad on Sunday. Dolphins just stunk on Sunday, so I'm not taking that much stock in him. But the fact is how he looked with the Indianapolis Colts, he looked really good with the Indianapolis Colts, and I believe the Dolphins were just that bad. Xavier McKinney left the Giants and went to them. Look how much he got better. He became the interception league leader last year. So it's something about that organization that is really not right with that organization for some players. And then Saquon Barkley, he's a 2,000-yard rusher. He goes to the Super Bowl, and he's been performing. He's been performing with the Giants.
You mentioned Daniel Jones. Yeah. And I didn't want to get off that because I think that a lot of people listen. I don't want my words misinterpreted yesterday. I don't fully believe in Daniel Jones, but I will say this: I've never seen Daniel Jones look that good.
Yeah, but he looked better. I understand. I'm not sold on Daniel Jones.
No, but what I'm saying to your point is I agree with you. I've never seen him look that good in a New York uniform. He looked like a serviceable quarterback last week. I don't care if it was versus Arkansas. And then if they're playing Penn State, it didn't matter. He looked like a serviceable quarterback.
We on the same page. We both on the same page. But it's something wrong with that Giants organization. And Saquon Barkley immediately leaves. He goes to the Super Bowl and wins a Super Bowl. And even though the offensive line stunk all those years behind him, that's just him being Saquon Barkley, being a great running back behind that offensive line. So something about that Giants organization that's not right for players to leave and go perform somewhere else and look good.
Let's stay in the great state of New York. I just wanted to kind of add into New York. So the Xavier, I don't know if y'all watch Hard Knocks the way I do, but I remember 2 years ago, the sweetheart of Hard Knocks for the New York Jets was Xavier Gibson. And he was one of the guys, Robert Saleh was like, listen, he plays New York Jet football. He hustles. He's this, he's that. Just one game into the new tenure of Aaron Glenn, he fumbled the ball on a kickoff. Part of the reason the Jets lost the football game. And Aaron Glenn said, we can't have turnovers, and cut him. He is gone. Also in San Francisco, George Kittle put on the IR, and the 49ers were like, we're done. We invested capital in this kicker, Jake Moody. I believe it was a 4th-round pick, maybe 5th. I could be wrong. They cut him after week 1. What do you guys, do you think it's an overreaction for some of these franchises to cut players after 1 week of football? Coach, I'll start with you and then I'll go to Mo.
Not really. They been wanting Jake Moody up out of there. Jake Moody cost them some games last year. I think he cost them the Cleveland game pretty much by missing the field goal. And matter of fact, it was I think it was about a 30-something, 40-something yard field goal. You have to make those type of kicks if you wanted to. You have to make those type of kicks. So I don't think that's a trend or overreaction. I think that's something the San Francisco 49ers been wanting to do since last year because he did cost us some games.
Yeah, but why not do it before the season starts? Why would you wait until like make him make your roster, have him? Why that? Why that?
That's something we would never know. We don't understand at that point, but know the fact that they've been wanting them up out of them. And the same thing go with him. After that touchdown run last year by when Aaron Rodgers got hurt after that punt return.
Xavier Gibson.
Xavier Gibson. He was never the same. He was never the same after that. So I don't think it's an overreaction by a lot of GMs. I just think that's something that they've been waiting for it to happen again. If you kicking between 40 yards and 32 yards, you got to make those kicks, man. You got to make those type of kicks, and those are the kicks that Jake Moody doesn't make, and he didn't make. He made it bad for him on opening day, and he made it bad for him last year when he cost 49ers some games.
Okay, so Mo, do you think you're a 49ers fan? Do you think it was an overreaction for the 49ers to cut Jake Moody after a game that they won, especially as hurt as they are? And they brought in, and by the way, no shade at Eddie Pinheiro, but like Eddie Pinheiro has been, he's a run-of-the-mill kicker that lacks power in a league in which guys are kicking at 55, 60 yards. Now, here's the one thing Eddie Pinheiro will give you. He'll give you accuracy within 45 yards. And then Xavier Gibson being your starting kick returner, fumbling the ball and being cut. Do you think either one of these teams overreacted?
I would say that I think they overreacted, but I do understand why the Niners made the moves that they made. I think that Moody was always on the chopping block, and I don't think that the coaching staff were all in alignment. I think there was some disagreement on Moody's worth or value to the team, and I'm guessing John Lynch had final say over all of that, and that's why they moved on from them. And I feel the same way about Gibson. I think that he was always teetering on being moved or let go. And I think that turnover in that situation at that time, even though it's just week one, I think that sealed his fate.
I love overreactions after week one. I'm not saying
the game. That turnover actually cost them the game.
I did, 100%. That turnover mixed with the 60-yard field goal, mixed with Justin Fields, who I love, throwing a hospital ball to Garrett Wilson as opposed to running 3 yards. That was a hospital ball. And like I think
people, that's a medicine.
He's supposed to run. If he ran, he had the first down. He was right there.
100%. Right. And he's seen Garrett Wilson wide open and didn't see Jalen Ramsey coming in. And if Garrett Wilson would have just caught that ball and sat down, he'd have been fine. But listen, we could point at a lot of reasons the Jets lost that football game, the fumble being one of them. Boswell hitting a 60-yard field goal outdoors is incredible. That's another one. We've seen kickers now hitting 60-yard field goals like they're nothing. It's insane. Talk about in the preseason, Little hit a 70-yard field goal for the Jaguars in the preseason. Are we like, this is kicking in these day and ages is insane. And for a guy like Eddie Pinheiro, who to me is a guy that can't kick the ball over 50 yards, for him to be the new kicker for the 49ers, to me, it feels like Kyle Shanahan's just looking for, hey, if we get in field goal range, we need to trust that you're going to be able to make this 42-yard field goal.
Right.
That's what Eddie Pinheiro brings to you. It reminds me of a running back. Like, he's never going to hit the home run, but he's going to get you 3 yards every time. And they elected for the guy that's not going to hit the home run, but that's going to get you that 3 yards in that cloud of dust. But speaking of the 49ers, Mo, I want to go to you. You guys have had a massive injury problem the last 2 years. And this year, it's rearing its ugly head again. Brock Purdy is all but ruled out for week 2. So it looks like we're going to get Mac Jones versus Spencer Rattler. I'm sure the NFL really loves to see this for a week 2 matchup. No George Kittle, no Brandon Ayuk. We're running into a situation right now where the 49ers are Ricky Pearsall and Christian McCaffrey, and then a bunch of guys you probably don't know their name. Not you specifically, but the average listener. What's up with the 49ers? George Kittle, torn hamstring. He's placed on IR. He's out for at least 4 weeks. What are your thoughts on the 49ers injury problems?
It's been a problem, you could argue, actually, the last 3 years. I would say this. Coming into the season, with their lack of depth and talent, they had a small margin for error. And if everything aligned, if they stayed healthy, then I would have been in agreement with people like you and some others who thought the Niners might win 10 or 11 games. They're very thin. They're not a deep football team. The offensive line is not as overpowering as it once was. They don't have explosive talent on the outside. George Kittle, who's a tight end, is actually their best vertical threat, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
I look at a team like that. that's going to have to lean hard on the defense. Like Robert Saleh, the defense has their handful. The problem I have for poor Robert Saleh is this: as good as your defense is, if your offense is constantly going 3 and out, the very best defense gets tired. The very best defense eventually cracks. I didn't think they were going to be that good offensively this year before Kittle got hurt. I think Christian McCaffrey doesn't quite look like Christian McCaffrey. Like numbers wise, he was solid, but I didn't see that burst. I didn't see that quick jump cut. So I have concerns about him. If
They're going to
gonna,
overuse him again, Mo. I'm telling you, they're going to overuse him again.
They started off in week 1 overusing him. I'm
31 touches is insane.
If he gets that many touches, Christian McCaffrey won't make it to week 8.
Nope.
They've got to find a way to spread the ball out to different people if they're going to sustain him. And now Purdy's out, bringing Mac Jones in. So now the playbook gets even more generic, more watered down. I really do think this team is going to struggle over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Coach, how bad are the Saints that the 49ers are still a 4.5-point favorite on the road at New Orleans with a backup quarterback, no star tight end? Christian McCaffrey and Mac Jones are 4.5-point favorites on the road. How bad are the Saints if that's the case?
They are really bad, man. They were really bad, but at least they look way better than I think everybody expected it. They look way better than the Dolphins. I can tell you that, but they are really bad. Spencer Rattler, he's still got a lot to learn. I think their defense still very competitive. I don't think they're worldly, but I think their defense competitive. It's a very offensively. I think they're gonna struggle to score points, especially if they're not going to run the foot. They're not going to be running the football well, especially if Chris Olave can't get open and cover don't make plays in the passing game. I think that offense will definitely be the struggle, and I think it will this season. I think the offense is going to have to put up points on the board because I still think highly of that Saints defense. I think that Saints defense is still very much competitive, but the problem is, can't keep Spencer Rattler keep his turnovers down? Can he make smart decisions? Can he throw the checkdowns when they're open? I think that's going to be the key for the New Orleans Saints, for this team to be competitive in this team. But it's just this team to be competitive overall. But I think they're going to struggle on the offensive end. And I think their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. I like that defense, but I think their offense is going to be really the problem.
I love that. Good feedback, good conversation. I think the Saints are going to be terrible this year, but in the same respect, if their defense can keep them in football games, and they didn't look as bad as I expected them to, but remember that it's versus Arizona, and Arizona always tends to underwhelm versus other teams.
Yes.
I want to move into another topic that popped up yesterday, and I don't know. I felt like this was already announced, but yesterday afternoon it was officially announced. The NFL has elected not to suspend Jalen Carter. Actually, they didn't say that. What they said was his suspension of 1 game is week 1 was the game that he did not play, since he did not play a defensive snap. They counted game 1 as a suspension. On top of that, the Philadelphia Eagles elected not to. You're allowed to void a player's guaranteed money if they get suspended for actions like that. So player conduct, they're allowed to void a player's guaranteed money. I think it was very, very strategic of Philadelphia to choose not to void his guaranteed money because it doesn't change anything, right? He's not going to get cut. And the only time that guaranteed money would come into play is if the Eagles cut Jalen Carter. But I think this strategy I think Philadelphia is already pandering. And if I'm being honest, I think they're walking a very, very thin line. And that thin line is we want to re-sign Jalen Carter, but we also want to have discipline on our team. I don't think the Eagles are going to sit him out for a drive. I don't think they're going to sit him out for a quarter. I don't think they're going to sit him out for a half. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to play him. And I think it's dangerous to the culture of the team if you play Jalen Carter and there's no suspension, there's no revoking of his guaranteed money. I feel like the Eagles have handled this by saying, this is our best defensive player, and we are going to pander to him to hopefully re-sign him at a cheaper value. I think it's a mistake. I think it's week 2 of the NFL season. And if you lose the football game because you don't play Jalen Carter for the first quarter to set precedent, then you lose the football game. What if you're the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm not asking if you're Coach Dante or if you're Mo. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you know that's your best defensive player and you're going on the road to play a Chiefs team that's angry and that wants to get revenge, are you playing Jalen Carter the whole game? Are you suspending him for a quarter? Are you taking away his guaranteed money? How do you feel like the Philadelphia Eagles have handled this situation, Mo?
So I'm with you on that. They seem like they're handling him with kid gloves.
Yes.
Right? Because of fear of being able to sign him for what they want to sign him for. He's an elite talent. Nobody questions that. My problem with the Eagles, and this is rare that you say this because their coaching staff, more importantly, their GM is the best in the business. I don't think they know how to handle him. Like there's a part of them that knows how immature he is, how impatient he is. But I think they view him that way in everything he does, not just on the football field, maybe in how he talks or negotiates. He's a very immature person, right? Even though he's a grown man, he lacks emotional maturity. I would suspend him for the first quarter. I think you have to send some type of message that even though you're a special player, you're not more important than the team as a whole. At least send that kind of message, rein him in a little bit, because I think it sends the wrong message if you just let him play as if he did nothing wrong.
You know, Mo, if that's Jordan Davis, if that's Jalix Hunt, if that's Nolan Smith, do you think the Philadelphia Eagles are handling this differently? I think what they're telling their team is, we don't think you guys could beat the Chiefs without Jalen Carter. We don't want to let the Chiefs
100%.
start off to a real big lead. And I think you're telling the other 51 guys in that locker room that you don't think that they're good enough to beat the Chiefs without Jalen Carter. Coach, how do you see it? And by the way, I know you followed Carter from college when he played at Georgia. He's always been this way. This is the third time he's done something that was not controllable. Thankfully, the Eagles have defensive line coach Clint Hurt, who is a big, big guy. And he is a guy that has Jalen Carter's ear. He's great at what he does. Last year, Jalen Carter almost killed Nick Sirianni on the sideline. A lot of people don't realize that. And there was a game where Jalen Carter was uncontrollable on the sideline, and Clint Hurt had to tell Sirianni, get the hell out of here. Like, he's going to hurt you. You got to get out of here. Third time this has happened. Coach, what's your feelings on the way Eagles handled Jalen Carter?
Like, I think they're handling it wrong, but if it was me, I'd suspend them for a half. I mean, again, I do that for a half. This first, not the second. It's going to be a half. This team is good enough to be with the Chiefs, be in the game with the Chiefs for a whole half. It's not about one player, it's about the team. But again, that comes with being great. When you're a great player like Jalen Carter, and Carter is, sometimes you can't resist. You can't resist. Being a great player helps you out. Being a great player just helps you out a lot because you get away with certain things. You get away with certain off the field issues and on the field issues, like yelling at the coach, going back and forth and stuff. You get away with certain things. If that was Jordan Davis or anybody else, they probably been suspended. They probably been suspended or everything. But that's comes the consequences of being a great. He always had off the field issues. That Georgia, like it's some players on Georgia as a whole had off the field issues. Like George Pickens coming in off the field issues from day one, off the field issues. Same thing with Jalen Carter when he had that car wreck. He came in already with that reputation, and it's hard to control him. And I don't think Nick Sirianni knows how to control him. It's questions that he don't even know how to control the locker room. But I just think, the team just being that good and being that great, it kind of saves Nick Sirianni a lot. It kind of saves behind a lot. But if I was a coach of that Eagles team, he will be suspended for a half. I think the Eagles are that talent in that offense. That offense should be able to put up points and be in the game with Kansas City. Even though Kansas City is mad that they did lose the Chiefs, that they did lose the Chargers game, you're a good enough team. You're the Super Bowl defending champions. You should be able to stick with him to Jalen Carter being able to get back in, but he's always had those personal issues off the field and on the sideline and stuff like that. But that's when you're a great player, you get away with a lot of stuff.
Right, I think you're dead right. Just some quotes. Nick Sirianni said, "We want to have great energy, tenacity, and all different things, but we've got to do it within the rules of the game. We will address that. We'll go through that, but we've got to get better in that scenario. We need that guy on the field. He's a really good player. You see how I coach with emotion. I want them to play with emotion, and that's the kind of say all the time. That's what I kind of say all the time is you have to do it within the rules of the game. We need everyone out there to help us be successful. It was intense, and this is what Jalen Carter's response were. It was intense for me. I wanted to be out there with the guys so bad, just to support and help, even just to stand on the sideline. Things went how they went. We've got to move on. I made a promise to them boys it won't happen again." Just any reactions to those comments?
I just, to me, that's just coach speak. I don't know if it carries any weight, but it's just coach speak to me.
I think something gonna go on again, bro. Like I said, I can't trust Jalen Carter on and on the sideline. I think something actually will happen again. I would not say it won't happen again, but I think something actually eventually will.
That's what Jalen Carter was the one that said it won't happen again. But we'll see. I guess we'll find out. I just don't want the one thing that gives me, I guess, like not worry that they won't lose the locker room is you have a hard-nosed guy in Vic Fangio on that coaching staff. And when Vic Fangio is in that room, I just don't feel like you lose the locker room. He's just been that type of guy and that type of coach everywhere he's been. So, but with that being said, it definitely concerns me. Damian says, "Sorry, but I don't think Jalen should be suspended at all. He did was spit. It's not like he hit Dak with a helmet like Garrett or Donald, who should have been suspended. Plus, Dak was setting him up to do something." Damian, I want to be very clear when I say this. In any altercation in football, it's the guy that responds that gets the punishment. No one's seen what Dak did until the third quarter of the game when they had that weather delay, and then they found the visual. And thank God, because I think that visual actually helped him a ton in his argument with the Players Association and the NFLPA. But with that being said, you have to understand how, and by the way, how it started. We'll talk about how it started. It started, the Cowboys drafted a guy in the first round out of Alabama. He's a guard. He was named the Jalen Carter stopper at Alabama. Like when he got drafted, they said, "Oh, well, they have Jalen Carter. I'm the Jalen Carter stopper." Well, the last time Jalen Carter played against him was 3 years ago, and Jalen Carter had 3 sacks that game. So Jalen Carter walked over to try to troll the offensive lineman. That's when Dak got involved and spit at him. And then Jalen Carter, who can never control himself, walked in and spit on him in front of the ref, right in front of him. You have a whole game to hit people. You want to hit Dak Prescott? That's fine. You can hit him all game. Get through the offensive line and hit the quarterback. Like, you can do that. I wouldn't even have minded if he gave him a little extra juice and got a 15-yard penalty for hitting him late. I'm fine with that. Don't get thrown out of the game for spitting on him in front of an official. But that's just my 2 cents. Let's move on. We're going to get back in the NFL shortly, but I want to move on to the WNBA for a minute. We're headed into the postseason. And, guys, we talked about this last Wednesday. The Aces have still not lost a basketball game. They've won 15 straight basketball games. Now, the playoffs are all locked up. The seeding is not. It's almost but locked up. Right now, the Minnesota Lynx would play the Seattle Storm. The Vegas Aces will play the Golden State Valkyries. The Atlanta Dream will play the Indiana Fever, who've won 3 straight. And then the Mercury will play last year's champion, the New York Liberty, which, by the way, the New York Liberty versus Phoenix Mercury series is going to be incredible if that's what we end up getting. I guess I can't answer. It's a silly question. I'm sure you guys haven't changed your thoughts on who's going to win the WNBA championship. Actually, did somebody else say something differently? Because I remember I switched to the Aces, and people were like, "Oh, well, because I had Minnesota Lynx winning all year, and I switched to the Aces."
I did too.
Yeah, I said the Aces were gonna win. I said
so 15 straight for the Aces. They're gonna open. It looks like they're gonna open up versus Golden State, Indiana, or Seattle. Can any one of these three teams give any bit of trouble to the Las Vegas Aces in the first round?
No. No.
Very, very clear. One word. No. I love that. Mo?
No, I think the way the Aces are playing right now, where everybody has a defined role, they're unbeatable. I didn't change my pick because I didn't want to seem like I'm hopping on the bandwagon. But I'm going to be consistent in this. I think A'ja Wilson has walked feet down, and A'ja Wilson is going to be the WNBA MVP.
Listen, let me see what the odds are. It will tell you. You'll know who's going to win based on the odds. A'ja Wilson takes over Napheesa Collier for a WNBA odds. This is insane. If you would have bet on A'ja Wilson just 3 weeks ago, you'd have won some serious money. A'ja Wilson was as high as plus 10,000. She is now minus 122, leading Collier at minus 104.
That's crazy.
So plus 10,000 just 2 weeks ago. Coach, you said it last week, I believe, too, that A'ja's going to win the MVP. I think it's insane, the run that the Aces have been on. I just wanted to give it some credence, some respect, conversation.
Man, like I said, I think A'ja Wilson, I don't think, but she is the best player in the W. I mean, consistent, double-double, can shoot the basketball, can shoot fadeaways, can face up, get past you, block shots. She does it on both sides of the basketball. But what makes this team more dangerous, the way the point spread everybody just gets involved in the game, man. Like when Jackie Young is one of the most underrated players that people really don't talk about because A'ja Wilson is always talked about. Chelsea Gray is talked about more than Jackie Young, but Jackie Young is an all-star caliber basketball player. She can get buckets. She can give you 20 points a night. And you added Dana Evans coming from off the bench, coming from off your bench. Jewel Lloyd starting to get better and better. When you have all that combination scoring like that, ain't nobody beating the Aces. The Aces can just run through the WNBA, especially if you can get if you get A'ja Wilson playing like that every single night, and plus having Chelsea Gray, who's known for hitting big shots down the stretch as well. That's a tough team to beat, man. They on that 15-game winning streak. That's really gonna be a tough team to beat if you get all of those players right there contributing right there. That's a tough team to beat.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna give you the playoff seeding update, but yeah.
The biggest compliment I can give A'ja Wilson is just as a basketball player, she's very Akeem Olajuwon like in terms of her footwork, what she can do in the face-up game, in the mid-post, the way she can play in space defensively, recover, block shots. She's the closest thing to Akeem Olajuwon in the WNBA's history.
Here's an update on the playoffs. So here's how it's going to go. It looks like almost everything is set in stone, but two things, right? Three things. But if the Vegas Aces win their last game and they're playing LA, who's out in the playoffs at this point, they will lock up the 2 seed. Minnesota's locked up the 1. If the Aces win and the Dream, doesn't matter what happens, they're the 3 seed. If the Dream beat Connecticut and the Aces lose, then they flip-flop. Phoenix and New York are locked in the 4-5. They're playing each other. That's locked in. The Indiana Fever can drop from 6 to 7 if the Golden State Valkyries beat the Minnesota Lynx the last game of the season, because Golden State holds the tiebreaker over Indiana. So then you're looking at Aces Fever. If the Valkyries win the game or lose the game versus the Lynx, which they're 8.5-point underdogs, that people think the Lynx are going to win that game as far as the the odds are you'll see Aces versus Valkyries, and then the Seattle Storm cannot leapfrog. They're locked into the 8 seed. So that's essentially your breakdown. You're going to get Minnesota versus Seattle. That's locked in. You're going to get Vegas versus Golden State or Indiana. You're going to get Atlanta versus Golden State or Indiana. Atlanta versus Indiana is going to be a war. That's been a war all year. Those two teams have went back and forth. And then you're going to get Phoenix versus New York, which Phoenix versus New York is must-see TV. I can't wait to watch that. Seattle did get that final spot, yes. So any matchups you're looking forward to in the WNBA playoffs, even a second-round matchup, like Atlanta versus Las Vegas is going to be a great second-round matchup if both those two teams take care of business. I think New York versus Minnesota, rematch of last year's finals, would be an incredible matchup in the second round. So what are your thoughts on what we're looking at?
That's what I want to see. I want to see New York versus Minnesota. I want to see that matchup again. I'm hoping going into the postseason that you have a healthier Stewie, because she struggled with injuries this season. But if Stewie's healthy and Nescu continues to do what she's been doing, that's going to be a great series.
I got Aces in the Atlanta Dream. Atlanta Dream is a pretty interesting team. Like Ryan Howard, she can score. She can score from all over the place. Also, they got some very good contributors over there. They got one of the best rebounders in the WNBA. One of the best defensive, offensive rebounders in the WNBA, and Brianna Jones. She's really good on the offensive side of the ball, and plus, she rebounds really well. She's like the best, probably one of the best rebounders in the I don't know the status on Alicia Gray, but that's a huge loss during this time, during especially playoff time, because she's an all-star caliber player. She's a 3-and-D type of player that can shoot and score. Nia Coffey can knock down threes. Maya Caldwell is a good 3-and-D player. They got some players over there in Atlanta, so that could be an interesting series right there. But I still think the Aces will beat them. But I think Atlanta can squeak out a game or two against the Aces. I think they can make the series competitive.
I hear you. Coach, while you're here, I do want to get your thoughts on some college football. Georgia at Tennessee is in Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee, is the matchup of the week. 3:30 ABC, like all eyes will be locked in on this matchup. Georgia at Tennessee, it's an SEC battle. What are your views on this game, Georgia versus Tennessee?
I like Georgia. I like Georgia coming out of this game. I like Kirby Smart. I think again Tennessee losing their quarterback in the offseason. I think that's pretty big, losing their quarterback. I just think that Kirby Smart always has his team ready to play. They always have running back committed by committee. They're going to run the ball pretty well. They're going to throw when they need to throw. But I like Georgia because of their defense. And they all just Kirby Smart always have those guys ready to play. I think Tennessee is a solid team, but I think Georgia. I take Georgia in Knoxville this weekend.
Joey Aguilar has stepped in really well for Tennessee. He's played very, very well, and I think that when you have a great coach, I think that Tennessee playing at home with Josh Heupel, who's done nothing but make that team better, I think that Tennessee can pull that win off. I really believe that. I don't have faith in Gunnar Stockton. I never have. I never will. I just think that he's a journeyman college quarterback, and I just don't have faith in him. And I have more faith in Josh Heupel at home in that situation. Coach, Mo, do you have any thoughts on Tennessee versus Georgia?
Yeah, I think the Tennessee defense turns over Gunnar Stockton at least twice. I think he gives up a couple of turnovers at least twice. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Tennessee playing at home, they're going to punch above their weight class. I think Tennessee wins the upset.
It's funny because Georgia just played Austin Peay, and they did not look dominant in that game at all. And I understand Georgia's defense and all the five-star kids, but they played Marshall and Austin Peay at home. It's like they're literally just trying to set up for playing this game at Tennessee, whereas Tennessee played Syracuse. And I always say this, I hate when Penn State did it. Penn State basically scheduled 3 cupcakes, and then they play Oregon. When you are not ready for the big time, it shows. When you are playing competition that is not up to par, when you get into those big competition games, it shows. We've seen that last year with Tennessee. Tennessee learned from their mistakes. You remember how good Nico looked the first 3-4 weeks of the season when he was playing Little Sisters of the Poor and he was putting up video game numbers? And then after that, he entered the SEC schedule, and it was, yeah, Nico, that's not it. So I'm looking forward to seeing this game. I think Tennessee wins the football game. I think they're more prepared for it. But, Coach, you could be right. There's another big game on the agenda this week, and it's Notre Dame versus Texas A&M. 8 versus 16. The game is in Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 6.5-point favorite. Texas A&M is a team that they've played 2 cupcake-type games, but their offenses look different this year than it's looked in previous years. They've always been a knockdown, drag-them-out team, but Marcel Reed has made some changes for that A&M offense, and he looks great. Coach, I know you're down in the great state of Texas. What do you think of Texas A&M and Marcel Reed?
I like Marcel Reed a lot. I think they still got my boy Reuben Owens, who was hurt last year at the running back position. I like A&M a lot. Marcel Reed is a really good quarterback. He also can make plays with his feet as well. Notre Dame is also like a well-coached football team. Ever since Marcus Freeman, been a coach that pretty much that program changed around. But like I said, I like A&M in this game. I like A&M to win this game in a close game, but don't be surprised if Notre Dame could win this game. They got some receiving core over there that's really good. The running backs are solid. But I like A&M. I like A&M. They're a really good football team.
I'll answer this question real quick, Damian, and I'll go to Mo. I think Florida State can legit BCS bowl contenders. The way they looked versus Alabama, Tommy Castellanos has backed up every word that he said this offseason. He got a lot of flack for the comments that he said about Alabama and about how confident he was going into the game. I got to give credit where credit's due. Florida State's looked awesome. Mo, what's your thoughts on the Notre Dame versus Texas A&M game?
I think it's going to be a great game. A lot of people have A&M beating Notre Dame. I'm not going that route. I'm a big Marcus Freeman fan. I think he's going to have his guys ready. I think Notre Dame wins the game comfortably.
I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole, betting spread-wise. I think that 6.5 is way too many points to be laying for Notre Dame. If I was taking a side, I would take A&M plus the points. I think Notre Dame wins a close football game. I do. I think it's going to be a great game, though. I'm looking forward to it. I think that both these 2 games are going to be incredible this weekend. And then just because I want to give them love, just because they deserve some love. Last week, and listen, Billy Napier, I seen Dante ECG make a comment about Billy Napier, and I couldn't agree with him more. He has absolutely failed at Florida. But what I do want to hear more of is I want to hear the conversation about what's happened with South Florida. And South Florida going into Gainesville and beating DJ Lagway and Florida and going 2-0. The USF South Bulls have beat 2 ranked opponents the first 2 weeks, and they play a third one. They're playing at the U this week. And Carson Beck and Miami versus USF, who was just going on the road and beating ranked football teams. I want to give USF some love. I think that ends this week. I think that Miami wins the football game. However, if USF goes on the road and wins a 3rd straight ranked football team, that is insanity. And see, look at Control. It will happen again.
Okay.
USF on the road at Miami. Any thoughts on USF, what they've done? They beat Florida at home 18-16. That defense is legit. Coach, your thoughts on USF?
I mean, they've been really good, man. If they can find a way to beat Miami, you may be having to talking about getting the playoff. College football with them. If they end up beating Miami, you may have to talk about them, being in the playoff, But I think that Cinderella story gonna come to an end. Miami is a good football team, and their quarterback made some huge plays versus Notre Dame. I think it was just more the receiver going up and catching the ball, though, going up and catching the football, going up and catching that football in the end zone with that like one-handed pull catch, bringing it in. But Carson Beck, but like I said, I think you got to give credit to the Bulls, man. They've been really solid. If they beat Miami, you may be talking about them in the college football playoff.
Look at Cottrell. USF tried to tell people Wednesday night if you tapped into Superdog. Cottrell picked up a ton of points on Superdog. Man, if you want to talk about betting college football, I don't mean to be this guy. I'm not promoting gambling, but if you follow Cottrell's picks the last 3-4 years, you might not need to work anymore. That guy is incredible in college football.
College Cottrell.
Hey, listen, he earns that moniker every year. He predicted the upset over Florida, 17-point underdogs. USF went into Florida and he predicted the upset. So wanted to just give him some love. He's incredible. Want to move back to the NFL. Gentlemen, Thursday night. See, listen, tonight on Wire to Wire, I just want to give you guys a little preview. We have a whole overreactions list. And in week 1 in the NFL season, overreactions happen. They happen all the time. Colin Cowherd's released this herd hierarchy. And I love Colin. Let me just be very clear. Some people don't believe in the herd hierarchy the way I love Colin. I love Colin, what he does. His herd hierarchy after week 1 has the Green Bay Packers as the best team in the NFL. Agree or an overreaction?
Overreaction.
Okay.
I think Green Bay is definitely going to be one of the teams in the playoff hunt. I think I picked them to win their division, but the best team, I think it's an overreaction. I think they beat an overrated Bears team.
You talking about the Packers beat the Lions?
I'm sorry. They beat an overrated Lions team, so I think more than a few of us thought they were going to take a step back. So, no, I'm not knocking them. I think they're going to be a really good football team, but not the best football team. That is an overreaction.
Coach, who's the best football team right now?
Best football team right now, I'm still taking the Eagles.
Okay.
Until otherwise, I'm still taking the Eagles as the best football team. But they no doubt is one of the best teams in the NFL. And you may have to argue they're the number 2 team in the NFC. You can argue that. You can make that statement right now. The way they winning, the way they dominated the Lions, the way Josh Jacobs was able to run the football. Jordan Love looked good, man. Him and Jaden Reed, that connection is good over there. So I think they're the second best team in the NFC. But overall, they're a top 5. They may be a top 5 team in the NFL overall. That defense is really good. That offense by Jordan Love not making the right decisions, not turning the ball over, just being accurate, making tough throws in tight windows. That makes and Michael Parsons, you seen how good he looked against the Detroit Lions chasing Jared Goff down from behind. His back looked really good to me. But other than that, they the second best team in the NFC, and they're a top 5 football team in that.
I don't want to nitpick, Coach. But
yeah,
no, only because it is week 1.
Yeah,
Jordan Love threw 2 picks. The other team just opted not to catch him.
I mean, he threw 2. Yeah,
the one they caught, they got called back to do a very phantom penalty.
You're right. So I'm not saying that he's not talented, but he still puts the football in harm's way.
Yeah, 100% does. Coach, sorry, Mo, you're absolutely accurate. He definitely puts the ball in harm's way more often than he should. I think that Green Bay is good. But you know what surprised me the most about Green Bay? Had nothing. And once again, you don't want to be made a liar of week 1. Week 1 will make us all liars. Like it makes the guys that had the Detroit Lions winning 15 games this year say they're going to win 7. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you go from the Lions are going to win the NFC. They have all their defensive players back to the Lions aren't going to make the playoffs. They're going to win 6 games. I've watched people react that way. I can't do that. But I want to find out, and you'll find this out through more tape and more football games. If the interior of the Detroit Lions line is as bad as I thought it was, or if the interior of the Packers defensive line is just that good. You know who looked unblockable? I hate saying it, Devontae Wyatt. He looked unblockable. And we talk about Micah Parsons and what he did as far as, getting pressure on the quarterback. Devontae Wyatt absolutely blew up the middle of that Detroit Lions offensive line. So we'll see how it plays out 2-3 weeks from now. If that Lions offensive line is really that bad, or if the Green Bay front is really that good, or it could be a mixture of both. Another team that stood out to me, and Coach, I'd be remiss not to have asked your question on this. I'm sure you watched every minute of Texans versus Rams. And I'm not here to pour salt on the Texans. What I want to ask is, how good is that Rams front? Because they looked unblockable. Is the Texans line that bad this year again?
No, I think that's overreaction. I don't think our offensive line only gave up 3 sacks, and the offensive line and CJ Stroud, that was CJ Stroud fault all the way through because he held onto the ball way too long. So the offensive line blocked pretty well. They blocked pretty well. I don't think that was the offensive line fault. I thought that was CJ Stroud holding on to the ball too long. He had time in the pocket. I think our offense just got to get down the field and finish with getting in the end zone. I mean, we moved the ball. We was moving the ball. We had success. Of course, Dare Gubawale fumbled the ball, which is he should have actually went down instead of trying to be too cute. Yep. And he should have just actually went down, and the man ended up making a great play and punching the football out. The interception that CJ did throw, Jaden Higgins went up and got it, but you got to give credit to the defender who was over the top of him, grabbing the football at the same time. That's a tough catch to even make. But I just think that was CJ Stroud fault, just standing in the pocket too long, not getting rid of the football or not escaping out of the pocket. I thought the offensive line did well. I thought the offensive line actually did well. They blocked in the run game pretty well. The defense, the only flack the defense gives is the first possession of that second half when the Rams made that look too easy. So that's the only flack that I get a defense. They got a big fumble at the end of the game when the Rams was down the field, which is I thought the Rams should have ran the football because our defense actually got tired in the game and they decided to try to throw a screen, and Aziz just hit the tight end and he ends up fumbling the ball. We ends up getting the ball and we end up going down the field, and that's what Gubawale fumbled. But I thought the offensive line blocked really well. I just thought CJ Stroud took too long to get the football out, and he did the same thing Shedeur Sanders, that you don't go backwards and lose 10 or 15 yards. You go forward. If you're going to get sacked, you can do it going forward, or you just stand in the spot and you just go down. You don't go backwards. And I think all 3 times CJ Stroud have done that. So I think the offensive line actually performed well, especially giving up 3 sacks. That's pretty good for the offensive line.
You know who stood out? You know who stood out defensively? The Texans defense is legit. Their defense is going to be legit all year. But guys, I don't mean to continue to remind you. When he got drafted, when he was in Alabama, when he was dominant. He was dominant. He was good. A Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. He was good. Before he got drafted, I said he was a Hall of Famer. Forget all pro. He is a Hall of Famer. He's good. 3 TFLs, a quarterback hit. He was all over the football field, and he was incredible in that football game. Yes. I finished watching that game last night on All 22. Obviously, watch on Red Zone, keep up with it during the day. But I finished watching it last night, and just watching I watched it on the satellite angle, the quarterback cam angle. Mm-hmm. I love watching it there because you can kind of see how the plays come at the quarterback, and he's just unblockable. Mo, what are your thoughts on the Texans-Rams? Are the Rams defense that good? How do you think the Texans line looked? And
I think going up against that Rams front, and you pointed this out earlier, considering how good that Rams front is, I think the Texans offensive line held their own. And Coach saw what I saw. CJ Stroud held the ball too long. You got to get the ball out. There's nothing wrong with throwing an incompletion and living to move on to another play or punting. If he gets the ball out quicker and makes better decisions, he didn't take a couple of those sacks. So going against that front, I think they held their own.
Kobe Turner, Poona Ford, Brandon Fisk, Jarrett Verse. I mean, their front 7 is loaded.
Yep.
I do want to get your reaction on tomorrow night's game. Packers are home They're playing the Commanders. I think the original line was Packers were -5.5. It's down to 3.5. The game is in Green Bay. Jaden Daniels versus Jordan Love, Thursday Night Football, a matchup of two of the top 5 teams in the NFC by most people's projections. Who do you think wins that matchup and why? Coach, I'll start with you and then we'll go to Mo.
I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. At home, I think they're the better football team. I think they're going to better run the football. I don't think the Commanders great on defense. I just think the Giants was just that bad on the offensive side.
Terrible.
The offensive line is just god awful. I don't think they get away with that this week. Dropping passes in the end zone. I don't think the Commanders get away with that this week. I think the defensive line is way better than even though you do got Brian Burns and you do got Thibodeau, but Thibodeau hasn't shown a glimpse that he can be a stud. So, he's just a solid player. That's all I can just really give him. You got offense, you got a better defensive line that you're going up against. You're way better secondary that you're going up against. I think they're going to cause Jaden Daniels some problems. I think they're going to at least force a couple of turnovers on Jaden Daniels. I think they can stop the run too. The Packers will be able to stop the run. And I also think the Packers can control the game in the run game with Josh Jacobs and freeing up more opportunities for those receivers like Wicks and Jaden Reed to get open in coverage. That opens up the play action game. If Jordan Love don't put the ball in harm's way and if he plays a clean football game, they win the game. They win the game. I think they win the game by at least 10 points. I think it'd be competitive, but I think they win the game by at least 10.
Mo?
I'm going with the Packers because I think this is going to be a big game for Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs has 100+ yards running the ball. That's going to set things up for play action for Jordan Love. Green Bay has the better defense. I think they won't necessarily stop Jaden Daniels, but I think they'll slow him down. So I'm going to go with the Packers winning the game 27-17.
I'm going to make a very strong point when I say this. If Jaden Daniels is running the ball 10+ times a game, he is not making it through the season. He ran it 11 times in that football game versus New York, and the Packers are a much meaner, harder-hitting football team than the Giants are. I like the Packers in this football game 23-20. I think it'll be low scoring. I think both defenses will be able to handle their own. I would never pick this game because I think it's a very, very close football game. But I'll go Packers to win the game, but I think they win it very close. The key point to me is I think that the edges of the Commanders or the Packers will be able to contain Jaden Daniels. And if you can contain him, I think the pass rush gets to him quick enough to make him have to throw the ball early. Get him off his spot and contain him in the pocket. And with Micah Parsons and Lucas Van Ness, I think that they can do a very good job of doing that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers 27-17. I'm going to go with the Packers.
Shout out to my boy Kyle Schwarber for hitting his 50th last night. The Phillies all but wrapped up the NL East. Good for the Phillies beating the Mets 2 straight games. That's all we have today. We are at our time. Tune in tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. Myself, Bill, who's basically been dead for the last 2 weeks, and Cottrell we'll be going at it, talking sports. It'll be very interesting to get into some of the conversations tonight. I think I won in trivia again, so I'm going up against Bill this week. So we'll see. Coach, where's the next time we can see you? Where can we find you?
Well, I'm gonna be a busy dude this week. Y'all gonna see me. Next time you probably see me is on Keystream when we doing the Terrence Crawford versus Canelo fight.
Love that.
After I'm come from a football. That's the last time. I think that's the very next time you'll actually really see me because I'll be busy going to football games, high school football games out here and stuff. So that's probably the last time you'll probably see me. And mark my words, I'm gonna say this: Terrence Crawford will win the fight Saturday night.
I'm with you. I'm with Bud also.
Yeah.
I'm with Bud Crawford. Mo, I appreciate you. You'll be on tomorrow morning and then tomorrow night on M1, correct? Am I correct?
Correct. Brett and I are going to do our top 10 players in the NBA if everybody is in their prime.
I love that. That's awesome. That's going to be fun. I'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL Genius Gene Walzak. That is Coach Dante on Wednesdays with Coach. And my man knows better. It's Mo Better. Mo, do me a favor and close us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
Speaking of that great content, check out the app.